In October 2019, EU foreign ministers agreed unanimously to suspend arms exports to Turkey. They did so over its military occupation in Syria. Yet today, Turkish drones are being built in Italy, assembled with French support, and flown off Italian aircraft carriers. And now the odd part is that Erdogan's behavior has not only not gotten better, it has gotten worse. It's not he or his regime which has changed, it is Europe. Last week in Ankara, NATO expanded defense agreements with Turkey, all while Turkey holds the worst due process score on earth. Turkey is the only European NATO member ranked as not free by Freedom House. And these Turkish defense firms which won these contracts have very close ties to Erdogan. Number one, many sit within state ownership structures. And number two, Bakyar, one of the makers of the 2B2, a drone that made its name in Ukraine, is owned by Erdogan's son-in-law. Turkey is now a major defense player for Europe, and that is the result of Europe's priorities changing. The EU has an arms export criteria that requires human rights in the destination country to be weighed in as a factor. This is what led to the 2019 decision, but today it has been sidelined. Turkish defense exports have more than tripled since 2021. Exports to Europe and the United States have nearly quadrupled. The reason why is unfortunately simple. The more that the United States is unreliable, the more that Europe needs to look elsewhere. And the second largest military in NATO, Turkey, becomes a hell of a lot more appealing. But these decisions have a price. UN investigators found Ethiopian forces using Turkish drones in a strike that killed 60 civilians at a displacement camp. Human Rights Watch documented TB2 strikes in Burkina Faso's military, on markets, and at a funeral. Brussels hasn't announced a policy change or held some vote to come to this decision. The human rights criteria just stopped being applied. And so while all these new contracts were being signed in Ankara last week, Erdogan's rival watched from prison. And Europe, a power that talks about being a normative power, talks about rule of law, signed more contracts anyway.